Media, your humanitarian broadcaster.
Welcome back. You tuned into Salam Media with me, your host Mehreen Mia, and this is Mid Morning Talk. And now we're going to be speaking to Ambassador Mehreen Mia Cassimjee, and so she's an accomplished. I'm just getting so. Ambassador Mehreen Mia Cassimjee is a UN Global Goodwill Ambassador in Humanitarianism, SA Ambassador Ladies of All Nation International UK. She's also SA Director Igniting Dreams of Young Minds. She's a SA National Director International Youth Society. She's also the CEO and founder of the MIE Company and co-founding director of Helping Hands Social Society. She's a multiple global accolade winner, which includes being one of the top 100 women in business and one of the top 30 women of leaders and change. So let me welcome Sister Mehreen Mia Cassimjee. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Mehreen, and welcome to Mid Morning Talk here on Salam Media.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shukran for having me, Sister Maryam.
And I had omitted to mention that Sister Mehreen was also a host here as well on Salam Media. So this is your home. Salam Media is your home as well.
Absolutely, yes. Jazakallah. It's lovely to be on the same platform again. Alhamdulillah.
Okay. So, Sister Mehreen, I read your Facebook post, and you shared with us on a group we share regarding a very harrowing, difficult, tragic experience. So, please can you share that experience with us in terms of you've just come through, I think, what we term a horrific ordeal, and this was cyberbullying and people attacking your personality, your dignity. It impacted on your family life, your your all round functioning. Can you take us back? I know it's painful, but can you please take us back to what you had experienced in the last couple of months?
Gee, Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum to everybody again. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Let me just say at the outset, Sister Mariam, that there's not too many details that I can divulge in terms of the case itself, because it is a legal case now which is pending. Because the ultimate result of all of the, as you say, the horrific experiences, a decision had to be taken, and that was taken to take this over to the law. So we do have a Hawks unit involved, I have a forensics team involved, I have an attorney, and I have the South African police. So that's where I won't be able to divulge too much info per se. But regarding my experience, yes, I can speak to you about me, my emotional instability based on that, and how I've had to come forth from it. And the reason that I'm willing to even speak on that is because if there's anybody else that's experienced it and had to be quiet or remain silent, or if there's anybody else going through it right now, I want to say to you, we need to be able to stand up and say no. We will not be allowed to be bullied in this way. We will not be allowed to be stumped in this way, because especially for me, who's somebody who stands for women, stands for children, stands for women's rights and human rights per se, we're not allowed to have anybody try and remove dignity which we have self-acclaimed because of who we are. None of us are perfect in this world. Nobody can claim to be better than the next, but also nobody can claim that superiority over anybody else by trying to bully them in this manner. So, Alhamdulillah, we found the strength between myself and my husband to actually take this further, and that is why the law, came into play. The attack was a lot on him, a lot on me, based on a whole lot of fabricated lies, fabricated issues. But what was horrific, and obviously being, with all of these lies being placed on a public platform, it was horrific to experience the comeback from society based on what they were reading. And that's exactly why I'm willing to take this to public platforms to discuss even more. Because all that happened was there was a sensationalist story that was put up there against me, against him, in the most vile and gruesome manner, with the most horrific details, which were all lies, all fabrications, pictures that were put up which were non-factual, which were just downloaded images, and yet you had a society and a group of people who actually fell for what was a sensational story and attacked me, attacked him, attacked my dignity, attacked what I stand for, but based on what was mere hearsay that you were reading on what Facebook can be, for me, recognized as sometimes a tabloid platform. So you merely read something which someone posts up. There's no confirmation, there's no validation, there's no nothing, and yet you go and you attack whom are innocent victims. To the point, Sister Mariam, where I had threats coming to me, threats coming to our lives based on this kind of horrific detail. And I then have to sit and say to myself, do I succumb now? As a woman, I'm talking about, and I'm not talking for my husband because it was horrific for him too, but I'm saying for me, do I succumb now to this and not go back out there, not do what I do? And I have multiple platforms that I work through, multiple people that are dependent on me. I have global platforms that I respond to and that I work with. Do I suddenly succumb to all of these threats of people who just won't validify what they seeing and just don't like me suddenly? Or do I actually try and pick up and use my own skills and become an empowered person all over again? Because remember, my empowerment of who I am is what I teach to other people, purely because my steps I took to become an empowered soul today are the steps I teach others because I know it works. So now I had to delve deep into my own pains, my own framework of what was going wrong with me, and try and say to myself, Mehreen, you can take this on, you can be better, you are better, pick yourself up, make yourself a voice now for the voiceless of a whole new type of victimization. And that's where I'm at the moment.
Okay, so there's two issues here. First, I mean, something was put out, as you say, on social media, defamatory,
Yes,
derogatory, uh, targeted towards yourself and your spouse as well.
yes.
Thereafter, so that was one issue. I'm trying to just make sense of the issues yet again. So that was was this a targeted attack from a group individual, or it was a grouping of several people putting? Are you at liberty at all to say this? Was this like a single attack, or was this from coming from multiple avenues?
I think in my, well, it's again is in my opinion, thus far there is no motive that we can find. We don't understand why this happened. We don't understand what the intention behind this attack could be. However, we don't know a few of the people. I don't know a few of the people personally, but we do know now that there is a link between each of them. So I would safely say that there is a group of people, and it was headed up by a very, very well orchestrated someone or persons. Because to do this kind of hacking, to do this kind of work, to do this kind of victimization of people took a lot of time to sit to actually orchestrate it. And obviously, that kind of hacking takes a lot of money too. So I'm not sure exactly who and why and what the motive is, but I can tell you that even though it might have started for one person, because that's what it started out for, as a specific individual who went out there claiming to have been ABC again, that we had done this to this person and he had done worse to the person. And it was spread out by a group of personalities and persons. All of those people obviously will now be addressed by the law. And whoever else was sharing this post freely, speaking against me, speaking against my husband, people that then just randomly shared this saying, well, what kind of a woman is Ambassador Mehreen? If she stands for women's rights and children's rights, how can she be saying this? I literally was called a hypocrite. I literally was called many, many vile names purely based on this documented sensational story being posted up on social media. So as much as it started off with a one person story, I think there's a group of people that were responsible and are responsible for this to going as viral as it did.
So that's why I asked you first. It's a targeted attack on yourself and your husband, and as you said, it was very well thought out. It was
Mm,
orchestrated,
yes.
premeditated in terms
Mm,
of what they put out. You said pictures and that, but then the second part to it, and I think for me that's important, is social responsibility as
yes.
users of an online platform. And this is what I'd like to highlight, which I have time and time again, because the thing is, you receive a post and
Yes.
then you see all these pictures here, and okay, I read about Sister Mehreen Mia Cassimjee, or I've heard of one of her talks, I've listened to something she posted. Oh, is she doing this, she's involved in this, and I don't question myself if this is fake news, is this an attack, has
Mm,
did I receive it from a verified source that could trace it back to the original source. I based on what I see at face value, I then decide, oh, you know what, I need to warn others, because I've decided I'm this now self-righteous person that is now going to benefit other people, and it's with that intention. I think everybody who just forward posts in this light become, you know what, now I'm doing it just to warn others. Because when I question back and ask people, can you send me the source? And they can't. And I said, why did you post it if you can't trace the source? Oh, I just
yes.
wanted to warn people. And this for me frustrates me. And you can hear the frustration in my voice, because
Yes, I
this
know,
is
definitely.
exactly what leads to it. Because then we all become guilty of creating the sensationalism. Is this
Yeah.
what happened to you then? So then things were just forwarded. Was that your experience?
Absolutely, and the problem is because of my global, initiatives, and because of being on so many, especially GBV platforms. Remember this post, and I can say this was about GBV matters. This was someone who actually claimed to have been a GBV warrior who came out of this whole thing, um, you know, guns blazing now because she's suddenly a strong person and believes that I am standing for, I'm totally against GBV, etc., etc., but I allow for something like this to happen to her and stuff like that. And yet there's absolutely no truth to any of it. And what has happened? People that were part of the group that I just spoke of then decided that they will ensure, and they did put this up there as well, which is now cleaned up. They did a whole cleanup operation. But people out there literally believed, and they were given an instruction by a couple of other people on social media to ensure that this spreads far and wide. So obviously, somebody then tried to find all of the GBV groups that I am on and platforms that I run, and then they posted it onto various other GBV groups globally. And I then had the comeback from those so called GBV activists about, well, then let's get her. Well, then let's find her. Well, then let's attack her, because how can she be such and I quote, hypocrite, etc., etc., etc. So it just went completely viral on the actual cause of whatever this woman purported to be. And yet I have to ask, did any of, for example, those GBV activists out there who attacked me, did you stop for 1 second to become a true activist with a clear mind and ask yourself, well, where am I? Do I even know the person who put up this post? Do I know the story itself? Is it really true? Did I double check to see that the picture that was posted is a real picture of that person? Do I know her? Do I know if this is her actual body, etc., etc.? Or did you take time to even find out a little bit about me, what I'm doing? Did you try and find me and ask me, this is what's happening on your page, or this is what we saw on our pages? Um, is this really happening? What is going on? Stuff like that. No one cares to clarify, but everyone cares to give an opinion and feels that their opinion out there doesn't harm the next one. And that's why I'm saying, Sister Mariam, that right now I'm on a I did a webinar last week, and I'm going to continue with this. That it takes a whole new type of hype out there, which we need to create, and that is an awareness. And it's an awareness of not just GBV, because GBV is an everyday 365-day thing. Now we need to create the awareness of what are you doing versus that in terms of GB violation, and I'm talking gender-based violation. The violation that you create on your fellow sister, on your fellow brother, on your fellow humankind. This is a human to human violation. This was a sister who went out there and wreaked havoc on lives of so many innocent people, gender to gender, gender to gender violation. And as people who read these posts, as us who actually go up there, who want to be activists and stand up for victims of such violations, someone who can purport to use social media to bring it to such a standstill of hurting innocent people because there's no there's no validation of anything, yet we have all of these reactions to it. We have to then sit back and ask ourselves, what are we doing? Are we actually empowering or are we disempowering? When you have organizations, for example, come back to me, who know me, who I've worked with, who know my work that I do, come to me and say, you know what, we've just got a message to say that this is what's been out there against you and your husband. And an organization comes to me and says, well, we actually prefer that you're not attached to our brand until you can prove to us that this is not true. I then go back and I ask you, as an organization, when you got the so-called anonymous person come to you and say, so and so has said this, did you ask them for proof of what they are giving you? Like you are asking me for proof of what is not there, I must give you proof to show that that's not true. Yet you were willing to listen to a third party who didn't have to give you proof to say that what they're saying is true. So we have to sit back now and ask ourselves, what exactly are we doing here? Because we just create more hype, we create more mess, and we just keep violating. As you keep sharing a post that you don't know about, you don't validify, you are actually creating more violation against humankind. And that's what needs to really, really stop. It needs to stop because not everyone out there, Sister Mariam, has the mental capacity to go through this properly. I have had people that have lost businesses because of such things. People have lost their lives. They became suicidal. This kind of cyberbullying literally leads you to actually want to lose yourself. And we have got to be able to start thinking before we react on these posts.
Just listening to you, I can see, you know what, so cyberbullying is really, really real in terms of the mental ordeal and the stress it caused, because there's no difference. I mean, if you were confronted physically with somebody who was who was bullying you, and cyberbullying, the trauma, I can hear the stress, the anxiety. I mean, Shukar, that I mean, you are a mentor, you are a coach, you are physically well, mentally strong more than physically as well. In terms, so if it took somebody who is in your capacity to sometimes be at the lowest depth, and just think your world is now caved in, and to come out of this, for somebody who does not have your experience in terms of the mental strength and capacity, as you say, it will lead to suicidal thoughts and depression and anxiety. And for me, cyberbullying does lead to then post-traumatic stress disorder, because I can hear it in your voice that
Mm-hmm.
it was an ordeal, it was trauma. Sister Mehreen, when you reflect on this, have you thought of brainstorm in terms of reasons why this was a targeted attack on you and your husband specifically? Was it because you are activists? Because I know the cyberbullying would be one of the reasons. I mean, uh, a reason to silence activists, because that's what you do when you are making the right noises and correct noises and being an instrument of change. This could
Yes.
happen. So have you reflected in terms of this? Is it because you were doing many good things and correct things and speaking out in terms of the various platforms you engage in, and was this a means of intimidation to silence you?
Sister Mariam, it's funny that you say that because I was asked that by so many people that came forth with support. And it's at times like this that you actually know and can count who are true people in your circle. And many people have asked this, and to be quite honest, I'm still reflecting to find an actual reason why. And one of them said to me, I think, well, you get many people who come up with reasons for you because we all sit now to contemplate, well, why would they do this? Somebody came up to say, well, because you have too many accolades, and it was pure jealousy or nastiness. The other one came up to say, well, it probably was just attack on the fact that you and your husband are such a strong and powerful force together, because there's a lot of work that we do together as well. Another came up to say, no, this was an attack on him because of his business and his business acumen and what he does. And it was trying to pull him down. And the only way to do that is because, pulling both of you down to pull you both apart, etc. There's multiple reasons that come forth. So I don't know an exact reason, but yes, the reflection has to continue. And one of the things that this does show out is, remember that as an empowered woman as I am, Sister Mariam, I'm still a human being. I'm still a mother. I'm still the wife. I'm still a daughter. And it came at a time which was horrific for me because I had just lost my dad. And physically, it took a toll on me to lose my father, so I had a mild stroke. And I was recovering from that when this happened on Facebook. And then it took to other social media platforms. So the timing for this was really, very horrifying. It was awful. And it took a lot for us both to have to just build our togetherness. It doesn't, something like this is not something that's easy, but it's also something that strengthens you if your niyat is pure. If you are pure at heart and do what you do. And somebody did tell me what you just said. You do too many good things nowadays for the world, so somebody wanted to try and put a stop to it. So there's multiple reasons that come up. There's multiple aspects that come up when I sit to do the reflection. And I just have to say, you know what, whoever this may be, whomever your group is, whatever your reasons were, Allah Himself knows, because He is all knowing. But Allah Himself also knows my reasons for being and doing what I do. So whomever is true, I always say, if you do something with your truest niyat and your first reason for doing it is for the pleasure of your Creator, then when anything has to hit you by force, and this was a real force, Allah Himself will give you the strength to get by, because there's nothing He gives you that you can't bear or you can't deal with. So Alhamdulillah, through him, my husband Ismail and I managed to find the strength, the grace to get through this. Initially, when this did come out, for the first 2 or 3 days, I was very silent, so was he. We didn't take to respond via the social media. We didn't go back to the post itself and people were asking, why are you guys so silent? And silence for them was meaning guilty, etc. But remember that sometimes your silence doesn't mean that you are weak. My silence and his silence of not coming back and reacting via social media is not our weakness. It was us taking a stand and doing the work that we needed to do behind the scenes as empowered people as we are, to do what is right. And Sister Mariam, I will say this outwardly, this is not the first time this has happened to me. I've had people threaten me. I've had things happen to me where somebody calls somebody and says something about me. It's affected my family unit itself. It's affected my family relations. Some people have walked away from me based on what they heard, and they never could come back to say sorry because they found out the truth, and that too is fine. But this is not something new. However, the hype of this and the extent to it becoming where I was being threatened to being the person who I was is where I said enough is enough. I'm not going to allow myself to be bullied, because this kind of bullying happened to me quite a few times before. And, at some point you just say, you know what, just let it lie. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. And that stance is what I said I'm not going to take this time. That standing back and saying, I'm going to allow you to make a poster of me and put it up there. I'm going to allow you to say what you want to say to everybody. I'm going to allow you to just call somebody and ridicule me to them. I'm going to allow you to call somebody and just say what you feel like saying against my husband and I, etc. That's happened so many times. It's cost us so much. And nothing has ever been where we sat back and said, we're going to attack these people or do something about it. But this time round, we couldn't sit back, because it's about time that we have to take a stand. And this stand that we are taking is to also be there for others who are out there, who are being violated in this way, who are being victimized in this way. And I'm here to say to you, whether you're a sister, whether you're a brother, if you are one of those that are violated in this way, please do not allow this bullying to get to you. Because that means that you are giving the power of you, which Allah has given to you, to somebody else, and that is not their prize. The power that Allah gives to you is the power given unto you. Take back your power, take back control of your life, and this is what you need to do. And if you are somebody who is doing this to others, if you are the one who is the violator, then I want you to also know that at some point your reckoning is with your creator, and you will have to answer to him. I am able to take the course of going via the law, and I'm praying, inshallah, that the law does take its course and makes this and sets a precedent. If not right now, it will take its course. The precedent will be set in this country to make sure cyberbullying, because cyberbullying is there. We have cyber legislation, and we have got to now show that it will not be tolerated. Like we take a stance on GBV, like we take a stance on child trafficking, human trafficking, we have got to now take a stance and make a point of knowing that this kind of cyberbullying and gender-based violation, human-to-human violation, has got to also stop, because we've got to start protecting each other. And it starts with each one of us.
Sister Mehreen, thank you for coming on. Thank you for your courage, for sharing. And I know it was difficult, but sharing your traumatic, harrowing experience. Like I say, the truth never expires. I always say the truth never expires. And at the end of the day, my firm belief is Allah will always let the truth reveal itself. So
Yes.
at that point, it might not be, but in the long term, the truth will always reign supreme, and the Almighty will always reveal the truth. It stands the test of time. It never expires. So I think we can, as believers, as mu'minins, we take comfort in the fact that your truth is everlasting, and truth is supreme. So and also I think as you were speaking, your experience and your courage coming through this, you now have another avenue where you can provide community support and service in terms of people who are become victims of cyberbullying. You can be there as a pillar of strength, as a guide, as a guidance, as support, in terms of them then to empower themselves to change their circumstances from become victims of cyberbullying towards survivors of cyberbullying. Because I can hear after all this, you are survived. You have survived this ordeal. The law is taking scores. And please, if there are any leads in terms of the law, and what happened, and then you be at liberty to discuss details, please do contact us. Because when people hear and see that there are severe repercussions for these type of actions, for perpetrators of violations of such, hopefully, you know what, this then can serve as a deterrent, because it's a new space in terms of legislation, law, and as well as prosecution. So we make dua that whoever is responsible for this will face the full might of the law, both here
Mm.
and as well as in akhirah, unless you find it in yourself to forgive them. So I thank you as well, but also lots of food for thought for myself, as well as everybody out there listening. Um, Please, you come across a post, you see it. Yes, you can see photos, pictures. There are things as Photoshop. There are, I mean, many good apps where you can put people, get images from internet, and then juxtapose these to current recent images, put dates and times, and it's all possible. Everything is possible in the world of fake news. So please be wary. Seeing is not believing. Please do your research. And if you're unsure of something, go a step back and say, please, can you forward me the source of this post, and check the verified before you just forward a post in the interest of warning, because that is not warning.
Absolutely. Jazakallah so much to you, Sister Mariam, and to, of course, my family at Salam Media. I ask for all of our listeners to make dua for all of us, inshallah, not just for myself and my husband, for everybody in this ummah, because all of us are going through difficulties which we don't know of. But let us make dua that we come through with this successfully, and that we do make dua. We do make dua even for these perpetrators, that they get the hidayah that they need, that they learn. That, sometimes, remember, cyberbullying is, yes, what goes on social media, but just for me to make a telephone call to the next person to bring down somebody else, and you listening to that and making up your mind and judging somebody is also a form of bullying. And if you allow that to get to you, and you allow that to destroy your relation with somebody, remember that even that right now, there is legislation in place that can stop and trace calls to calls. Where are you calling from? Who's talking to who? There are many ways now. So before we try to talk against our fellow humankind and our ummah, let us rather see what we can do and do what is best to build our ummah. That is what Allah requests of us. So I thank you again, Sister Mariam, and I thank Salam Media for this opportunity. It was good to be back home, so to speak. And Alhamdulillah, yes, this is my new initiative. It is one of the new programs. And yes, when I do have more leads or things that I can speak of, I will definitely be in touch, because it will be to strengthen our society and strengthen all of our people, inshallah, as well. Sister Mariam, I'm not sure if you're there.
Yes, I'm here, and shukran. Inshallah, we check to you in the future. May you be under the mercy and the protection of the Almighty. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
We're going to take a short break. When we are back, we'll be speaking to Sister Nadima, who is a citizen and resident of Afghanistan on a catch-up 5 months later.